Hello viewers, welcome to the show, Aussiewood Hard Talk, powered by KoollifeTV. My name is Victoria Mayuen, your host. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the custodian of the land, which we meet today, the Wajak people of the Noongar Nation. I pay my respect to elders past, present, and emerging. Today with me in the studio, it's a very special guest. She is someone who has impacted our community. She is also a counselor, a pastor, a businesswoman, and many more. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Pastor Gladys.
Exclusive at KoollifeTV.com.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Pastor Gladys. Welcome to the show. And happy blessed Mother's Day to you.
Thank you.
And how are you and how are you feeling today?
I'm blessed. It's Mother's Day. I mean,
Yeah.
today the day that we get to be acknowledged and pampered.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I think ladies, women do a lot. So when the whole nation pauses to acknowledge it, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it
So I'm
is.
feeling especially blessed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and happy Mother's Day to you too.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So kindly introduce yourself to our audience and just tell us a bit more about yourself and how did you end up in this beautiful country, Australia?
Oh, well, I think in your introduction, you said almost everything that I am. First and foremost, I'm a wife to one pastor of All Nation Christian Center. And then I'm a mother of three. I've got a lot of other kids, spiritual, and, you know, a lot of them that I look after, and I'm so proud to do that. On top of that, I'm a counselor by profession. But then I specialize in just marriage and premarital counseling. I think I choose that area because I'm passionate about marriage, I'm passionate about families. And so that's my area. And then aside all that, I also have a business. So I have the West African restaurant, which is also like a passion of mine because when I came to Australia, like you were asking, there was nothing for West Africans.
Definitely.
And sometimes the way the lifestyle here, you get so busy and you're very tired and all. And you want to eat, and you be like, where do I go, you know?
Yes.
So that is how my restaurant started. So I have that restaurant going as well, just to support families as well.
Amazing.
So I think that is a summary of some of the things I do. Yeah, I'll leave it that for now.
Okay, no, you've mentioned something a bit there about the area of your counseling. So, you know, as a pastor, so does it mean you focus on like Christian-based counseling, or do you do like in general, like to anyone? Let's say if you have a non-Christian that's coming in for counseling, how do you take that head off as Pastor Gladys and just become like a social kind of counselor?
Well, I'm a trained counselor for all,
Okay.
but I choose to do Christian counseling because I find that it works better for me with my practice. Because I find without the connection with faith and with God, sometimes some problems are too hard to even find a headway. And so I've done a bit of secular counseling, but then I made a decision to just be a Christian counselor. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for answering our question.
Exclusive at KoollifeTV.com.
All right, yes, Pastor Gladys. Okay, back to the parenting. So what are the advantages and disadvantages raising kids here and back home? Like I'm sure you yourself, you started your life back home in Africa, isn't it? And then having to raise your kids in the Western world. So what's the difference?
Oh, there's a massive difference. There's a massive difference in terms of culture. You know, because back home, because of the way our culture is in the system, your children are already in the system where, you know, they understand things, the flow of things in a certain way, in terms of how the community works. So like I will talk about Ghana, because that's the only place I can't generalize too much, but it's just more of, you know, that you have the one child, but that one child is not only yours. Your sisters, your brothers, your aunties, your uncles, everybody is having an input into raising this one child. So the child belongs to the community, more or less, the whole family. And the representation of that child is very important because you are carrying the family name. So how you present yourself out there means a lot. So that means everybody is trying to ensure that you don't bring shame to the family, rather honor. In Australia, it's the opposite. Here, the system is individualized. It's not that communal. So then, even the input from uncles and aunties and sisters becomes like an interference. You know, it's more like, oh, you don't understand. Here it's different. So you find that parents are most of the time doing it alone. You know, and then the children are also growing up here. They are growing up in the system. So you are telling your child one thing, but when they go to school, they are hearing one thing. So there's always that conflict.
But also another thing, that's a very interesting point, like the system, like mentioning system. Like in Africa, I can, if you're my sister, I can take my kids and let them live with you. But where in this society that we're in, you cannot just give your kids to an auntie or an uncle. They need to know, who is this uncle? Is he like is he the right person for you to leave your children with? So that's another thing. So there's restriction.
A lot of questions, like you'd be like, oh my God. And the system here as well, the way it's set up is fast paced. You see, so it's ongoing. You need to be able to catch up on things. Unlike Africa, where, you know, you pay your rent. Some people can pay their house for like a year. So for the next 1 year, in Ghana, we call it advance. You pay advance payment for like a year. So you don't worry about, I'm paying rent this month or I'm paying rent that month. In here, you pay rent every 2 weeks, which means you got to find the money. While you're paying the rent, you got to pay other bills. You got to put food on the table. You got to do all of that. So it means that people are always ongoing. But then the support of the family that would have come handy is also not there.
Because everyone is doing their own thing.
That's the thing. So if you are not strategic about how you are raising your family or your kids, that is where it starts to go wrong.
So then, okay, apart from the system and stuff, what are the good things, what are the advantages of raising your kids here in Australia?
Oh, I think in terms of there are still some advantages here. At the end of the day, you're exposing them to, you know, even the access to knowledge and information and stuff like that. They get all these things. I think probably I would say if you compare the ease of information and connections and being able to find a job and stuff like that to Africa or back home where we come from, we find out that they get that easier here. You know, so more like
independence?
They get that independence. It's easier, it's quicker. But back home, it's like you are for the family until you are married out.
There's like one breadwinner.
That's the thing, you know.
Everybody
is doing something. Even the children, when they reach a certain age, they're able to do something to help the family, you know. So there are still some advantages, but if you ask my personal opinion, I would say I think growing up over there, I see more advantage on that side than here. It doesn't also mean that raise your kids there while you live here.
Definitely. So how about like also like talking about raising kids in this society and like where there's technology and information stuff? What is the impact, you know, when it comes to their mental health and their connection, like even at home, just with their families and stuff? What's your thought? Well,
I've always, I'm a believer of my children. In terms of, I've heard people say, oh, these are Australian children. That means the kids that we've had them here, we refer to them as if, oh, these are Australians. Just because they were not born in Africa, we say, oh, these kids are different. They are used to technology. They are used to this. We brand them like that. No, they are my kids, which means that it's my duty to connect them to their heritage. It's my duty to connect them to the values that I was raised by. It's my duty to do that. I can't leave that in the hands of the teachers. They don't know my heritage. And I can't leave that in the hands of anybody else. It's my job to make sure I connect them. You know. So in that case, then whatever else advantage that is there for us, it becomes a bonus. You don't lose them in the middle of the system. You know, if that makes sense.
That's amazing, So apart from parenting, let's go back to like being a spiritual leader. At what point did you realize your calling?
Oh, for me, I've always been called.
Yeah.
I've always been called out. I think I come from a family line of well, how do I not pastors per se, but my grandfather was a presbyter, which is like in the Presbyterian church. He was one of the this, and even when we went home, people still talk about him a lot. His photo is on the wall, and my mom is also a very staunch believer and a Christian. So I grew up like that, and I've always been in the service of God. And my mom never believed that you go to church and you do nothing. So you got to do something. And in doing something, I find myself, so you get deeply rooted in church. So I call myself church girl. I've been in church. I used to play the slide trombone. So I was part of the trombone group. I was part of the Boys and Girls Brigade. I was part of the youth. I was part of almost everything. So you are very occupied. Yeah. So you find that as I go through that, you connect wherever you go. And then it's like you've been equipped. It's easier for you to talk to somebody about the life you're living because there's merit in it, Definitely. But then coming to Australia, I wasn't even called, like, I think my husband was the one that the prophecy came on that he's been called as a pastor here. And then I was like, oh, so I'm going to be a pastor's wife.
Yeah.
I grew up running away from that responsibility because there was a part of me that didn't want to be. Yeah. But then God had the calling was already there. Definitely. I had different prophecies, but I was just trying to pretend like I wasn't hearing until we got to Australia, and then God called him. So by default, I have to be there.
Definitely.
So then I can't run again.
You couldn't run away from it. That's it. But we are glad you're doing that, and it's the impact that you're doing as well.
Exclusive at KoollifeTV.com.
All right, Pastor Gladys, we're going to go on a short break. Hello, viewers. Before we go on a short break, we welcome sponsorship and partnership. We'll be right back. My name is Victoria Mayuen, your host. Hello viewers, welcome back to the show. With me still, Pastor Gladys in the studio. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Wow, that was an amazing, a woman with multiple hats. You're a chef as well. I've seen all the advert. And so, like, as a pastor, counselor, wife, a mother, someone who runs a business, like a big restaurant like that, how do you maintain all that?
Oh, grace. I would say grace. It just takes the grace of God to be able to wear all these different hats. Oh my God, restaurant, it's not a small thing. And I always tell myself I'm the automatic chef. It's like it came to me and I ran with it, But I thank God for the grace to be able to maintain it, and probably have a bit of planning in there here and there, especially for me, acknowledging that I have other things to do. So I got to be able to program things in such a way that some things will work by themselves, and it spare me time to do other things.
Okay, thank you. So now, like, tell us about some challenges, like you've overcome as a mother, pastor, things that have actually shaped you, apart from all the amazing things.
Well, there's a lot. I think I should put it in a book, but I find that it's not easy coming to Australia though, My journey is an extraordinary one. I won't go through the whole thing, but I think for what we had to go through, we came in here as international students. So as international students, a different dynamic altogether. The challenge of trying to pay school fees and trying to pay your rent, and then in the process, you're trying to have children and maintain a family is very challenging. So for me, I had to learn even more. Before I was coming to Australia, I was like that anyway. But I felt like my faith is in these countries where it has even been strengthened, and I have seen it tangible, like physical. You know how back home we go to church, we pray, do a lot of things. Yeah. But then here I saw manifestation of those things, and how important it is for me to hold on and to keep the faith. So being able to trust God and to do things. So for example, I came here, back home I was a teacher. Yeah. I had taught already for 5 years. And I came here thinking, I'm going to teach, and then I'm going to look at all these plans. Until you get here, be like, oh, even my qualification is not accepted. It's like, what? I have to go to school again before I can teach. And I asked myself, what is in teaching? That I need 6 years of study to teach. Oh no, 3 years. I don't want to study again for 3 years. And for me, that was a big blow because I came prepared. Like I was so excited to come and just jump in. Your life, It wasn't like that. When they assessed my qualification, they're like, oh, with your teaching qualification, everything, in comparison to Australia, it's like a diploma. So probably you might want to go to uni and get a degree. I was like, no,
so then you took that
I can't do that. I think I'd rather invest 3 years into learning something else. That's how I went into counseling, because I felt like the community needed. It's one of the things as well I had to learn on the job, or like in the process of my stay in Australia. I realized that there are some systems here that work for the people, and if I'm going to live here for the longest of time, I have to embrace some of these systems that can work. And so there are people, most people know they are psychologists, they are counselor, or they have avenues in which they deal with stuff. And I find that a lot of us Africans, we make ourselves look as if we are almighty, like we can handle it all, and we don't talk to anybody. We want to talk to family. Back home, talking to family used to work. Coming to Australia, talking to family doesn't work. Because family too is busy like you, and they're all equally stressed. So who do you talk to?
Exclusive at KoollifeTV.com.
So who do you talk to? It becomes really difficult to share your stuff with your fellow, someone. And then even here in Australia, pastors are also working. So unlike home where you find them in a church. So you go to the church office, you want to talk to the pastor, it's easy. Here, if you don't go to church on Sunday, it's hard because pastor is going to work. So then I realized that it would be a good thing to bring in the community, the council. And then I also realized that because of culture difference, sometimes when we sit before an Australian counselor, it looks as if they don't understand us or the perspective in which we are discussing our problem.
Cultural appropriate services.
So then I felt like it would be good to have at least one more African counselor to help our fellow families deal with stuff. So
definitely. And also people want to feel safe, confidentiality. You don't want to go and talk to someone in the community about something that's really sensitive, and then you go and find out the whole community knows about it.
But
when you talk to a counselor, you can hold them accountable.
Very important.
Definitely. So another question is, what is the impact of lifestyle and parenting?
The impact
of a lifestyle of a mother to do with the children and parenting. How do your lifestyle impact your children?
Oh, that one is very important. I think for every parent, God will be aware. There's something in teaching. You can teach. When you apply lecture method in teaching, it doesn't go anywhere, right? Because you're only lecturing. But more learning is done through demonstration. So our children, they learn a lot more from us than what we say to them. So it's very important that for me, I demonstrate what I want to see in them, so that they can, they even the ones that I'm not talking about, they can actually learn by me not saying. So how I handle myself, how I manage things, one of the things that I find that is missing in a lot of families is where, you know, there are a lot of things that we go through, we don't let the children see it. And I've heard parents say words like, oh, I had a really hard upbringing or childhood. I don't want my children to suffer what I've suffered.
Yeah.
And I've always had problem with that statement. I'm like, what do you mean? Whatever you suffered is the one that have shaped you. It's made you a hardworking person. It's made you very resilient. You know, you are always ready to go. You know when to wake up in the morning and get things done. Yeah. Now, trying to give that level of comfort to the children and not showing them that life comes with stress. Yeah. Life comes with pain. We come all these things. They don't see it. So when they now grow and they go to the bigger world, small things come their way. They are not built for it. Yeah. They don't know how to deal with it. So it's very important that as we live in our life day by day with our children, they see the truth, the honesty in our life, so that it shapes them as well as they grow. They understand. If today I say, well, there's not much money, you're just going to manage this leftover, and we polish the food and we make it nice. Yeah. You eat with gladness. And I tell you, don't worry, enjoy it. It could have been worse, but it's still food. Yeah. Tomorrow, if you're able to go, I'll be like, hey, this afternoon we are all going out for lunch. Yeah. Hallelujah, we all go for lunch. Yeah. If it's not there, it's not a big deal. Yeah. But not to give the impression like, oh, I'm happy to do 100 hours in a fortnight, but then I don't see you. No. You know, so I am discussing with my colleagues how I'm stressed, how I'm tired. Sometimes I'm crying in my car. I'm doing these things. Your kids have no idea. Yes. And then you come home all looking shiny and all good. Mom, you want the video game? Here you go. Yeah. Mom, you want this? Here you go. So by the day, and don't forget, the kids are not yours. Yeah. They're going to grow. These are somebody's husband, somebody's wife you are raising. You got the privilege of raising them. Yeah. How do you want them to be? That one day their partner will be like, whoever raised you, God bless them. Wow, I've got something precious. Or is it going to be like, hey, who raised you? Huh? Yeah. You don't know anything. And it becomes like, what did I do? You know? So for me, it's very important between what we say and what we demonstrate for our children to see. And for me, I like to dress up. Yeah. So I've got 3 girls. It's important for me personally to see them learning how to organize themselves.
Look after yourself.
Nicely, not in a provocative way, but still appear confident, because the way you dress even adds to your confidence. You know, so I want them to see these things. Yeah. That's the thing, you know. So that by the time they grow, I tell them it's not every time I'll be with you, but when I'm not with you, how are you going to represent? It's very, very important, you know. So that is,
Thank you, Pastor Gladys. So you know, in your journey as a parent.
Exclusive at KoollifeTV.com.
What would you do differently if you were to start it all over again?
Wow. Well, I don't know if I would change anything, to be honest. I don't think I'll change, because everything I've been through have taught me stuff. It has built me in a different way. It's opened my understanding to life. I used to be very black and white. Okay. You know, I love God so much as a young person. I've grown with that. So I know I've read the scriptures and I know what the scriptures say. And if somebody, I feel like you are not following what the scripture is saying, oh no, you won't find me. Yeah. I will try to stay as far as possible. Yeah. But coming to Australia, God has taught me a lot of things. And some of the things that are philosophies I created for myself, He challenged them. So now everything has shaped me. I've learned from a whole lot of people. I've learned different skills from different people. Yeah. And imagine if I was so black and white and I didn't open my heart, which is something that is a character of God, actually, to have that love and that big heart to embrace people. Yeah. So everything I've been through has connected me with somebody, connected me with something. It has opened me to some learning, some skills. And I appreciate all of them. Yeah. So I can't change anything.
Yeah, thank you. So, okay, that will lead us to our next question. So what's your advice for those parents? Some parents in this life have made like a mistake. I don't want to put it as a mistake. Have went through challenges that led to like making a mistake or neglecting their children. And then after, when they come back, they struggle with self-forgiveness. What's your advice to someone who is stuck in the middle there? because you cannot move back the time, you know. So what's your advice today as a spiritual leader or as a mother as well, when it comes to self-forgiveness?
It's very important. Yeah. It's so important as to learn to forgive yourself. I think I had a statement from my my lecturer when I was still at uni, and then somebody was talking about how she hates the mom and the mom was never there for her and stuff like that. And as we were unpacking that, and then she said, do you realize that at that time, that is all your mother could give? Yeah. And she couldn't give more of what you were expecting. You know, but now if she's at a place to be able to give you more, open your heart and embrace her. Now the thing we got to understand is that as women, we go through a lot of stuff. It's a blessing to have the kind of mother that is able to so manage everything and raise you up and be there and support. Not everybody get that kind of opportunity. And so whatever you are able to do within whatever time, at least cut yourself some slack. You tried, you gave it your best. And thank God you didn't die doing it. So that means you are living more to make changes. You are still alive to have chance to do things. You can reconnect with your children. One of the things personally I've learned is that money is not everything. That has been my philosophy for a very long time. I have to balance it. I need money for so many things, but I can't prioritize money over other things, because I believe if I raise my children well, if my family is stable, it doesn't matter what we have to put on the table to eat. It doesn't matter. I can own many houses, but then if my children are not with me, they don't want to know anything about me because I was never there.
There's no attachment.
It will not bring you no value,
no joy,
you know. Which even if I'm not able to buy any property at all, but I invest my time to raise these ones. One day they will say, we want to surprise mom. Mom could never buy a house for herself. Now that we have become this, let's surprise her with something. That will make me live longer, you see. So the opportunity that God gives us, once we are alive, there's a lot of things we'll be able to achieve. If we had died, then it's finished. So whatever that has gone wrong, I believe in prayer. It's a matter of praying, asking God. And I think one of the lessons I learned as well in Australia is learning to give control to God and not to myself. And I had an experience where I had to, I think I was so worried in leaving my child at the daycare, because I wasn't sure that they would look after her the way I wanted. It took me 5 years to have that first child. So leaving her for someone else, no, that wasn't, my brain wouldn't take it. I nearly had an accident that day. And when I moved from there, I drove back and I picked my child. I said, no, because the child was crying. I felt like I could hear the cry in my ears. So when the traffic light turned, it was red for me that was turning and green for those that were going straight. I just turned and I was here, ping! I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I could see I wasn't thinking straight. That same day I resigned from the work. I'm like, I'm not working. I'm just going for my kid. I don't want to be here.
To your child,
I went to grab the child. The child was so happy, and I'm thinking, so it's me that have the issue. I went home, put the child in the cot, and I was just sitting down. Few minutes, I started dozing. And then I heard the Holy Spirit talking to me. He said, look at you. You're already dozing. When you sleep, who looks after the child? I woke up, I was like, oh. It's true. So when I sleep, who looks after the child? So he said, if when you sleep, you trust that I can look after the child while you sleep, why can't you trust the child with me? And you go about doing what you need to do. You know, so from that day, I set myself free. All I need to do, and I want to encourage all mothers, we can only do as much. We are human. As we grow, we got so many things going on in our bodies. If only we can learn to hand the children to the giver of the children and say, Father, you know, I have my limits, but these are yours. Give me the wisdom to raise them. Give me the wisdom to do the best I can with them. And you cut yourself some slack, okay? And then at least give it your all. The man cannot come out perfect, but they'll be all right.
Thank you so much, Pastor Gladys.
Exclusive at KoollifeTV.com.
So Pastor Gladys, so what is the best advice that your mother have given you, and what are the craziest things that your mom ever did to you that as an African mom?
Well, that is a very interesting question, to be honest. My mom is a very unique woman, I tell you. I don't even remember anything that she actually did that I will find crazy, though. But I remember a lot of her words of advice. And so one of the funny things she said to me as a teenage girl is like, if you're ever going to take a boyfriend, don't take one in the neighborhood. Take them from 2 suburbs away.
Yeah.
So that when they dump you, you don't become the laughing stock of the neighborhood. I was like, what?
Yeah.
He said, yes, because otherwise, how will you come out of the house? So I was very interested and fine. But one thing that my mom, the way she raised us, and she slept with me, and it was so important to her was the fact that we should be planted in church. I told her I was a church girl. For her, it's so important to form connection with God. And for her, she believed that with God, everything can be achieved, but God has to be the center of it. My mom never saw her mom. My mom was born 2 weeks. Her mom died. So she was raised by all other people, but she would tell you the day she encountered God and she decided to just serve God. My mom was a chorister for 69 years, from 1969 till she died, you see. Yeah. So she's deeply rooted in church, and that's one legacy she left with us.
And we can totally see the impact of your mother in you today. Yeah, that's very inspiring. Thank you. We've got a small gift from the Billionaire Mentor for Mother's Day.
Thank you so much.
To appreciate you and also to acknowledge you, the amazing mother that you are to your own biological children and many other people. And so we've got some flowers there. I think there's like some perfume. And we also got a cup.
Lucky me. Thank you so much. KoollifeTV and everyone. It's just so beautiful.
And there's like perfume. You've got like a cup, a reminder to love yourself and be kind, which is something that you do in your daily life.
It's important.
And there's like a nice perfume.
Oh, wow. My Mother's Day is full. Oh, God is good to me.
And
Thank
I'm sure
you so
there's
much.
more to come after this.
I know.
Yeah.
Exclusive at KoollifeTV.com.
So, please tell us, why is it important to be kind and self-love?
Oh, this is quite nice actually. And I like what is written on it though. Be kind to others. Kindness is choosing to acknowledge and celebrate the beauty in others, regardless of whether or not they can find it in themselves. That's a powerful statement. Yeah, it's very important to be kind to people. Yeah. See, God brought us here not as individuals. I always say that before you came, you need 2 people to bring you. Yeah. You need a parent, you need a man and a woman, a mom and dad to bring you to this life. And by the time you get here, either you have siblings or you have other people. So that means we are always connected. Yeah. For us to be able to fulfill the purposes for which God put us here, we got to be able to connect with other people. Yeah. And being able to open our hearts to other people as well. And that's where kindness comes in. Not always putting yourself first. Yeah. As if you are the only important person on the planet. When other people have been here, they've sacrificed for your sake. So you can also do the same thing to others. Yeah.
Exclusive at KoollifeTV.com.
Oh, and I love myself. A simple smile can bring out all the positive emotions in you. Yes. Self-love is very important. There's a difference between self-love or self-care and selfish. We are not saying be selfish. There's an element of it though, but I mean it's not to be selfish in terms of being too self-centered. But if no matter whatever you have in you to give the next person or the next generation, if you don't look after this body, that is all you have. Yeah. You may have the will to do, but you might not have the body to do it. So that's why it's so important to look after yourself, your mental health, your body. I've learned few things on my journey. There are certain things I didn't used to like. I have to learn them to like something like going to get Cairo, going for massage, or little things that it makes up your day. It makes you feel like, me too, I'm somebody. I'm worth it. So I think it's very important.
Or even just taking rest.
Just resting,
take a day off just to rest or do anything.
Which is very interesting because usually when women get the opportunity to sit and do nothing, they feel guilty. Yeah. Oh, I'm supposed to be cleaning. I'm supposed to be cooking. Oh, no, not every day you cook, please. That's why you can order from us. That we're happy to help you. So while you sleep in bed and relax, you need that moment for yourself. Yeah.
Exclusive at KoollifeTV.com.
So Pastor Gladys, going through this interview with you, you've talked about parenting, the sacrifices and the things that you have to let go just to focus on your children and stuff, and just spending a lot of time with your children. What is your advice today? What is your advice for those who look up to you, for those who, some of us, like I will talk, I'm very inspired, sometimes I work long hours and I feel the guilt. I feel like I should be with my children at home, but it's just like the lifestyle, the bills and the cost of living, So what's your advice today, like for me and many others, moms out there, and so many people who wanted to follow your footsteps, to be this amazing mother, leader that you are?
Well, just something simple. I'm a believer of seasons. The Bible says something. It says there's a time and a season to every activity under the sun. And there's another scripture that says that there's nothing new under the sun, you see. So this hustle and bustling that we're going through day by day, these things have always been there. It's not today that it started. Having children, raising them, and all the things we are juggling have always been there for many people. But I believe that we got to understand the season in which your family in, the season you are in. If your kids are young, this is the time that they need you for foundation. They need you to be around. One thing I've learned is that children don't care if there's nothing in the house, but you are there. I was talking to a lady and I said, some of us grew up in a home where you get 5 children and 2 parents in a chamber and a hall. And you wonder, so the parents take the chamber and all the kids sleep in the hall. But then we all came out all right. How did we come out all right? It's because of the stability that we saw in our parents, that they were there. Sometimes there was not much, but the fact that it's all in the same pot and we are all putting our hand in, even if you're able to take only 5 or small scoops of the food, the joy of I have siblings around me, I see mom and dad, keeps you going to go out there because there's stability at home. And so let us not think like, we are dealing with something that has never been, it's always been. But in it, let's understand that season will soon pass. Like the day where we used to 5 kids sleeping on the same place, it's no longer there because now we are all grown, you married, you will leave home. The kids will leave one day. But how are they going to live? Are they going to live missing those moments where, I remember those times where mom would just go and do some 4 hours and come and then be like, I don't have much money, but she will put this small food. We all eat, and they will talk about it fondly because your presence was there. And then when they now grow and they leave you, if you want to do 100 hours, they won't even say, they will say, Mom, are you not bored? Get busy.
Are you leaving
so
again?
There's time and a season. If you understand the importance of these seasons, and then we grow alongside our children and raise our family. Even marriages are struggling because husband is busy, wife is busy, everybody's looking for their own thing. In the end, you are making the money, I'm making the money. Who is the money for? If the money is for the kids, are they even seeing you to enjoy the money? And all the things we are giving them can never replace
There's
us.
houses in this society that are just furnished. Nobody's in there.
That's the point.
The husband is doing night shift, and mother's doing morning shift, and people are like swapping.
And the kids don't even want to be in the house. So you be like, this house that I've built for you people, but they don't care. And when they grow, the interesting thing is, they don't even want your house. They're already thinking how they can get their own house. So what was that for? But then you would have lost the attachment, the connection, the bond that is supposed to form between you and your children so that they can travel anywhere around the world. But then they will always pick their phone and say, I need to talk to my mom. I need to talk to my dad. I have to tell them how I'm doing. As against the day I leave, I'm gone. You don't want that. Because some kids don't want anything to do with their family because they feel like they never cared. They were never there. Why should I be bothered? You see. So at least there's something we can learn from it. Like I said, we have to put value where value is and understand the seasons that we are going. When your children reach 20, 25, even if you don't kick them, they themselves want independence. They will go. So why sacrifice the time where they need you the most and then you are not there? And another thing also we shouldn't forget is that they are a representation of you. So how much of you are you investing in them that when you see them on the street, you can boldly say, that one is my kid. With that kind of sense of pride that I so know my child is, that one is mine. you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pastor Gladys. So, yeah, thank you, Pastor Gladys. I hope you've enjoyed the show. What do you think about the Cool Life TV?
Oh, I think it's great. I've enjoyed myself here. I think getting the opportunity to even share a little bit with all this lovely audience is awesome. And you guys are doing a great job. I pray that God will continue to bless you guys. I pray that it gets bigger. You know, every great thing started small.
Yes.
And as long as we continue and we don't give up, God is the one that is going to expand it. I'm a believer of that a lot, you know. The Bible says, do not despise your humble beginnings. Yes. And soon it will be big.
Yeah. Thank you, Pastor Gladys. It has been an honor having you here, and I hope this is not going to be the last time. We're going to have you next time to talk about any other topic. Hello viewers, we've come now to the end of our show. Don't forget to contact KTV for community awareness or promotion. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like and comment. I am your host, Victoria Mayuen.
Pastor Gladys Boadi.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, everyone.